Yeah, so I've been working on turning all this into an article, trying to make sense of it, understanding that. One of the focuses of the article is why, might he have cut some of this content out? It's interesting, some of the content that was cut out of Letters to Malcolm relates to scripture interpretation. One of the introductory articles was already published in Seven by a scholar a couple issues back, and that letter talks about Lewis's views on scripture interpretation, which might be controversial, particularly with some of his more evangelical followers. And so I think it makes sense why that one was cut out of the interpretation. I don't even think it made it to the publishers. But then some of the material towards the end is on the parable of the unjust steward. And so Lewis is actually doing a little bit of exegesis and scriptural interpretation. He's actually outside of the mainstream of biblical scholarship. But he's in safe territory because there is no consensus on that parable. So it gives him the freedom to kind of write about it. And what's fascinating is you can actually see him in his letters write to Dom Bede Griffiths and float possible interpretations of this parable over the years. And then eventually it shows up, and it would have been the last chapter to Letters to Malcolm. But he cuts it out at the very end. And so it was very fascinating to discover that, to uncover the different drafts that he went through, the different versions of it. The last chapter would have ended on a pun. He actually has a joke at the end of the story, because the ending of the book is famous. It says "till Saturday" is how the letter ends, but in the original manuscript it says something to the effect of "till Saturday," and then he makes a joke about catching a train and that the National Railway System, and they've flung a planner into the works of the National Railway System. So it's funny that this book, his last published book that he wrote, would have ended with this sort of bad pun about the railway system as opposed to the very poetic "till Saturday." But it's very fascinating to come to the Wade Center and to be able to look through the manuscripts, to pull all of these things, and especially to be able to connect the dots, to be able to read Lewis's handwriting and then understand, he's actually quoting something from George MacDonald here. George MacDonald's essay, he wrote an unspoken sermon on the word of Jesus on prayer. And in that essay, he talks about and is trying to answer the question, why do we need to pray in the first place? If God is omniscient and he knows everything, why do we need to ask him anything? Because he should already know what we need, and why can't he just give it to us? And so in Lewis's first draft of his book on prayer, he almost explicitly parrots that question as the reason why he's talking about it. And then later on, he actually writes some material that just sounds like it's directly pulled from MacDonald's unspoken sermon. So it was just fascinating to come across those things and discover them.